Hello, everyone, and welcome to your weekly Wednesday webinar from Squibbler. Today, we're going to be looking at one way that you can plot your fiction with a time-tested technique. And this will take you from outline to execution in a really organized way. So we're going to take a look at Joseph Campbell's monomyth plotting style. This has been around for quite a while, and it's been used by a lot of filmmakers and screenwriters and authors as well. We'll take a look at some of the benefits of using this well-tested plot style, and we'll take a look at the steps in the hero's journey if you're using this plotting method. So there are a lot of ways that you can plot your novel, and traditional plotting methods might not even be the best route depending on what you're trying to write. For example, if you're writing a speculative novel in horror, these can and do reject conventional plotting. We don't always get a happy ending at the end of a horror film or a horror novel. So take some of this with a grain of salt. It may not fit the novel that you're trying to write or the screenplay that you're trying to write. But this is one of the basic plotting devices. So we're going to take a look at the 17-point 3-act hero's journey method of plot development. Some future webinars that we have will examine other popular layouts as well, but this is a really good place to start because this one is very well known and it's used by lots of different writers. The Hero's Journey is a book, and it's the brainchild of literature professor Joseph Campbell. Dr. Campbell focused on religions and myths from many different cultures, so he collected as much as he could read from narratives from lots of different cultures. And he developed a theory called the monomyth. And that's the idea that despite their differences, most cultures are going to create narratives in 3 acts. And you recognize these. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But then what he did was go on to break these 3 acts down into 17 different stages. So why should you create a plot this way? There are several benefits to using a plot device like Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey. It's going to provide a flexible and structured narrative framework used to create compelling stories. One of the benefits is universal appeal. The hero's journey is going to tap into timeless themes and archetypes that resonate with audiences across cultures and eras. And it's going to make stories developed with it more relatable and impactful. And we'll take a look at some examples in popular novels and films in just a moment, so you'll see how this works. It also has a clear structure. The 17-plot structure offers a clear and organized structure that's going to help you map out and organize the flow of your story. It can prevent narrative chaos. You're not just struggling or grasping for things to put in your plot. And it's going to ensure that key emotional and plot beats are hit at the right moments of your writing. Plot points like Joseph Campbell's are also good for character development. Each stage of the hero's journey is designed to challenge the protagonist, and it forces them to evolve. By following this structure, stories naturally lead to a deep, meaningful character growth, and they sort of go hand in hand. As your plot is rising to a climax, your character is developing alongside of the plot. There's also emotional engagement. The stages of the journey, such as the call to adventure or the return with elixir, are emotionally charged moments that are going to guide the audience through a range of feelings. And this is going to build emotional investment. Your audience or your readers are going to be very invested in the story that you're telling. There is flexibility, even though this is just a model. There is structure, but it's flexible enough that you can modify it and adapt it for various genres and storytelling mediums, such as books, movies, video games. Writers can use it as a foundation, but you can tailor the elements to fit the needs of your story. It's also good guidance for conflict and resolution. The stages are going to naturally introduce conflict. They're naturally going to introduce obstacles and a sense of urgency for the hero to overcome. And this is going to lead to a satisfying resolution, unless you're writing horror. Sometimes that doesn't work out in horror. This rhythm of rising tension and eventual triumph is going to keep your audiences engaged. The plot also encourages the use of timeless themes. The hero's journey touches on fundamental human experiences such as self-discovery, transformation, sacrifice, and triumph. And by using this structure, writers are allowed to explore profound philosophical and psychological themes. You also are encouraged to develop more cohesion and unity by using a plot structure like this. The cyclical nature of the 17 steps is going to bring a sense of unity to this story. There is a progression throughout as the hero travels from step to step. And that means that all parts are going to contribute to the overall narrative arc. The hero's return to their origin, transformed by their experiences, creates a satisfying full circle ending. This plot device is also adaptable to modern storytelling. Many modern films and novels and series use variations of the hero's journey. It could be fantasy, it could be personal growth stories, or even corporate branding narratives. So the structure fits a wide range of storytelling contexts very well. And once you've been through this webinar, you'll start to notice where you see this in lots of places, even when you're watching a TED Talk or a film, or even just the way that we tell stories sometimes. So the first step of the hero's journey is the call to adventure. In the call to adventure, the hero is introduced in their ordinary world. We meet them in their world. But something is going to disrupt their status quo, their everyday life. There's an event or a challenge that's going to arise and invite them to embark on a journey. The purpose of the call to adventure is that it's going to set the story in motion by presenting the hero with a problem or a quest they cannot ignore. So according to Joseph Campbell, the adventure may begin as a mere blunder. Or still, again, one may only be casually strolling when some passing phenomenon catches the wandering eye and lures one away from the frequented paths of men. An example of this from literature is in The Hobbit, when Gandalf marks Bilbo's door without Bilbo knowing it, and this sparks the quest to reclaim the dwarves' treasure. Bilbo is going to be called to go on the quest. Step 2 could be the refusal of the call. The hero may initially hesitate or refuse the adventure due to fear, to doubt, or sense of obligation to their ordinary life. The purpose of this is to add some depth to the hero's character. It shows internal conflict and reluctance. We don't always jump to dangerous situations. We usually don't want to jump to dangerous situations. But in books, heroes will do this, even if they don't really want to. An example from literature is when Frodo learns he has the Ring of Power in his possession. He initially rejects the call to the adventure and tries to give the ring to Gandalf. And in the Matrix series, Morpheus offers people a choice of the red or blue pill, where the red pill is going to symbolize the refusal of the call. The third step is supernatural aid. And this is where a mentor, a guide, or supernatural being is going to provide the hero with assistance, tools, or advice to help them on their journey. And the purpose of this step is to equip the hero with knowledge or magical items needed to face the challenges ahead. This is pretty obvious in something like Lord of the Rings, where we know Gandalf is going to serve this purpose. But it appears in something even like the film Training Day with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke, where Denzel Washington has information that he's going to impart to his young mentee. Step 4 of the hero's journey is crossing the first threshold. The hero is going to leave the ordinary world and step into adventure's realm, and marking the point of no return. This is establishing that the hero is fully committed to the quest and entering the unknown, something that's unfamiliar and new. I had so many thoughts about what I could talk about for this one. In the film The Nightmare Before Christmas, Jack Skellington physically crosses through a doorway, a threshold, when he chooses to enter Christmastown. And this changes his goals. He was getting sort of depressed by doing the same things that he was doing for Halloween. And he's invigorated by going to a different place with unfamiliar things. In the Narnia series by C.S. Lewis, the 4 children are going to enter that world of fantasy by stepping into the magical armoire that takes them to a world of fantastical creatures. You see this also in Miyazaki's film Spirited Away, where the young heroine and her family are going to walk through the world of humans through a tunnel into the world of fantasy and different fantastical creatures. The 5th step is the belly of the whale. And this is going to represent the hero's first major encounter with danger or a situation that forces them to confront the unknown. It's, of course, named after the biblical text of Jonah and the whale. This is going to symbolize the hero's transformation and separation from their old life or self. There's no turning back. In The Matrix, Neo faces the first real threat to his safety when he takes the blue pill and he faces the agent for the first time. The purpose of this step is to complicate things for your hero. He, she, or they will have to fight hard to beat these obstacles. In step 6, the road of trials, the hero is going to face a series of tests and challenges and enemies that help them grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. And I think one of the ways that if you really want to see how this works is to watch some Disney films, because they usually have a pretty simple plot structure where your hero is going to have to undergo a series of trials to meet their goals. The purpose here is to develop the hero's skills and reveals their weaknesses. It's going to make them evolve as a character as well. So probably one of the most obvious examples of this stage in plotting is in the 1997 Disney film Hercules. On his quest to become a god, Hercules has to prove himself by facing a number of dangers, beginning with the Hydra that he fights. In step 7, you have the meeting with the goddess. The hero is going to encounter a powerful, often feminine figure, not always, but can be male, who provides love, support, and wisdom. It can also represent the hero's connection with their true self. The purpose is to offer emotional or spiritual guidance, helping the hero find balance. So one instance of this stage in literature is when the children in A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle meet Mrs. Who, Mrs. Which, and Mrs. Whatsit. These 3 magical creatures, goddesses, are going to help the children on their quest. In The Matrix, Neo is going to meet with the Oracle, who also serves in this role. She sees more than other people can see in that universe. In step 8, you have women as the temptress. This is where the hero is going to face temptations, distractions, or lures that could threaten to derail the journey. The temptation can be physical, emotional, or psychological. It's not necessarily figuratively a woman. It could be something else. This is going to test the hero's commitment to the quest and show their vulnerabilities. Although the name of this stage is a bit dated with respect to women, it's supposed to be metaphorical, signifying anything that might tempt the hero or lure him or her or them from their path. So an example of the tempter stage in Leonard Elmore's LA Confidential is when Bud Exley is going to give in to temptation and sleep with Lynn Bracken. Step 9 is atonement with the father. In this one, the hero must confront the ultimate authority or powerful figure, and it's often a father-like figure that represents a final confrontation with critical aspect of the hero's past or personal growth. This moment is going to mark a significant turning point in the hero's development, often leading to reconciliation or transformation. So probably I can think of 2 really notable moments on the film when this happens. And one is when Luke Skywalker battles Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back. He's going to lose his hand, but gain a father in one of the strangest ways possible. You also see this in Harry Potter series, because Harry Potter's repeated battles with Voldemort also conjure up this plot point. And so does something like Disney's The Lion King, where young Simba has to grow to adulthood and challenge his uncle Scar for the throne before he can claim his rightful place. Step 10 is apotheosis. This is where the hero is going to reach a heightened state of enlightenment or realization, and the hero is going to gain new understanding or abilities. This often comes after a crisis or a symbolic death. And the purpose of this step in the hero's journey is to represent the hero's moment of clarity, a major growth or transformation that's going to allow them to approach the final challenge with renewed insight. One example of apotheosis in the film The Matrix is when Neo comes back from near death and realizes his full powers. And this apotheosis is going to allow him to defeat Agent Smith in the first film in the series. Step 11 is the ultimate boon. The ultimate boon is going to refer to a point in the story where the hero finally achieves the goal or gains the prize they set out to obtain at the beginning of their journey. The boon is often a powerful object. It can be knowledge. It can be a gift that has the ability to transform the hero's world or themselves, as well as benefit others. The purpose is that the hero has faced and overcome trials and is rewarded. So some examples from literature are in Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. Jim Hawkins is finally going to recover the pirate's treasure after a long series of trials that he undergoes. And Tom in Mark Twain's Tom Sawyer, another coming-of-age tale, is also going to find a treasure in Mark Twain's novel. Step 12 is the refusal of the return. Having achieved success, the hero may be reluctant to return to the ordinary world. They might prefer to stay in the world of adventure or feel unworthy to return. This shows the hero's attachment to the journey and the inner conflict between the ordinary world and extraordinary experiences. An example of the refusal is going to be in literature and film in George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones. Having defeated the Lannisters and reclaiming the throne for the Starks, Jon Snow refuses the throne and he's exiled beyond the wall once more. I was thinking too of the film Pleasantville, where the female character decides to stay in the black and white that she once rejected, the world that she rejected, while her brother returns to the modern time. Step 13 is the magic flight. The hero's return is not going to be easy, and they might face challenges or obstacles while returning with their reward. And this can often involve a dramatic escape or chase. The purpose of this is to add tension and excitement to the return. It's preventing the story from simply concluding after the boon is achieved. There needs to be something else that compels us to continue reading the book or to continue watching the film. An example of the magic flight surfaces in the film version of The Return of the King, when Sam and Frodo are rescued from certain death on Mount Doom. An eagle is going to rescue the pair, taking them back to their allies, but they are forever changed. Step 14 is the rescue from without. Here, the hero is going to receive help from an external force, a friend, an ally, or mentor, to return to the ordinary world, especially if they're too weak or unwilling to come back on their own. And the purpose here is going to reinforce the idea that the hero's journey is not solitary and that support from others is essential. No man is an island. Also, an example from this rescue from without appears in the film version of Peter Benchley's Jaws. Having destroyed the man-eating great white shark, Sheriff Brody and oceanographer Matt Hooper share a piece of their ship's wreckage to swim back to shore together. And it took the two of them to defeat the shark in the film version. Step 15 is crossing the return threshold. This is where the hero finally returns to the ordinary world, bringing with them knowledge, treasure, or power gained during the adventure. The purpose is to reintegrate the hero back into their familiar world, but they are now changed by their experiences, and the people that once were around them are responding to them differently as well in most cases. So an example for the crossing the return threshold would be the popular 1993 film Groundhog's Day. Forced to relive the same day over and over, Phil finally learns the lesson he was supposed to learn all along. And he finally gets to begin a new day that's not repeating, and he becomes a much better human being for doing so. Step 16 in the hero's journey is the master of two worlds. Here, the hero has achieved balance between their ordinary life and the knowledge or power they've gained from their adventure. They've grown enough to handle both realities. The purpose shows that the hero has truly transformed, fully transformed, and is able to navigate both the mundane world they began in and the extraordinary world that they experienced during their journey. An example of this plot step appears in the first Harry Potter novel. Having successfully survived his first year at wizarding school and avoiding death, Harry returns back home to his ordinary life with the Dursleys, but he's more confident about who he is and what his capabilities are after his return and his experience at Hogwarts. The final step in the hero's journey is freedom to live. After completing their journey, the hero is free from fear of death or failure. They can live fully in the present with peace and wisdom. The purpose here is to conclude the story with the hero's final state of self-realization and fulfillment. In Alexandre Dumas' Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes recovers his good name, and he avenges himself against those who plotted against and imprisoned him. So he's gone through the 16 steps of the hero's journey prior to this final step. He's now free to begin a new life, and Dumas even ends the novel with the following words: L'humaine sagesse était tout entière dans ces deux mots, attendre et espérer. All human wisdom is contained in these two words, wait and hope. So hopefully you learned a little bit about plotting with the monomyth style that Joseph Campbell has created. We've looked at some benefits of using a well-tested plot style, and we've looked at the steps in the hero's plotting journey. I do want to show you that accompanying this webinar, we will have a worksheet uploaded for you on Discord that can help you if you really like the plot technique that Joseph Campbell describes here. So we have instructions here for how to use the journey plotter. You'll read each numbered stage, and then you can plot out your points 1, 2, 3, 4 in Act 1. You can plot out 5 through 8 in Act 2 and 9 through 12 in Act 2, and then go on to plot out 13 through 16 and 17 for your third act of your novel or screenplay. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you tuning in. And we hope you have a fantastic day and enjoy your writing. Bye.